Right, let's see if this stream works. Yeah, so how is everybody? We all good? Yeah, lovely. So yeah, bear with me momentarily whilst Arcadius manages to join the stream, and then we can get things started from there. Fucking hell. So yeah, bear with me a minute whilst he manages to get on. Oh yep, here we are. Oi, oi!
You are, mate. Sorry about that.
No, you're right.
So,
How are we? You right?
not too bad, mate. Not too bad. When
No.
my technical stuff works, I'll be happy. You see me all right? Yeah, it's just bloody thing here.
Right.
So, guess I won't be using this one. I'm gonna have to use my phone.
Fair enough. Yeah. How you getting on? How you getting on, anyways? You right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Just training hard and getting ready for all the shows coming up and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic Pro podcast, my name is, as per usual, Bobby Effin Salistar, and with me on the line is the Lion Wrestling Promotions World Heavyweight Champion with the belt. With the belt on him, Mr. The Arcadian Warbear, Arcadius. So, talk us through way back when. When, where, how, who, with, and why did you get into the world of pro wrestling?
Well, it's a bit of a story, this one, actually, but yeah, so before I became a professional wrestler, I was a rugby player.
Yep.
And obviously, like, I played for them for years, and then the rugby team went to a sports convention day. So it's like a whole day, like at Felton Park, where I'm originally from, Felton, which is London.
Yep.
There was like all different sports there. There was like obviously one rugby team. There was football. Army was there as well, and then you had wrestling right next to us, like about 20 yards away. And I brought my son with me to join, because we were trying to get young kids to come and join our team and stuff like that, as well as adults. And he wanted to have a go at the wrestling, so I thought, all right, I'll take you over there. And basically, yeah, I said a few other words as well, but I'm not going to repeat them because I'll get in trouble. But yeah, so I took him over there, and he had a go. He enjoyed it. So I spoke to a guy called Terry, and who we're pretty good friends with now. And I said to him, obviously, how much was it for my boy to join? I mean, I ain't good. I'm too old at the time, because I was like 32 at the time. But he just said to me, "You're never too old to join." But I just thought to myself, well, what I'll do is I'll take my boy down there anyway, and I'll join in just to keep him company and keep him comfortable and all that. And yeah, within 10 minutes of our first session, he disappeared, as in my son. He disappeared, and I carried on going. Because a lot of kids like doing warm up for some reason. So that's just what it is. Yeah. So I started doing a bit of training and all that, and I liked it. I thought I'll have another go. I think it was the following week I met Red Eagle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Red Eagle from Portugal, and I trained under him for a little while, and he was incredible. I absolutely fell in love with wrestling right from there. I mean, I was already in love with wrestling, but to actually do it, I actually fell in love with it even more, like, you know.
Yeah.
Because I barely watch it now, because I'm always doing it. So, yeah, but that's how I got into it. And then obviously the Al Snow Wrestling Academy opened up in 2015, if I remember rightly. And yeah, we went from there, and I learnt from Al Snow, I learnt from John Klinger, Doug Williams, James Mason. God, there's loads of names out there, even Jazzy Gilbert as well from
Yep.
that used to be NXT and all that, you know. So, and John Klinger and Jazzy, obviously being German, they were quite. They were very good with their cardio side of things and strength and conditioning. I can tell you that now.
Yeah.
It made you work.
Yeah, definitely. So, would you say that your training, like to begin with, like, would you say that that was like a bit of fun, something that you like expected to be fun, or
um, well, I think if you knew other people who trained with me, they would see how serious I took my training.
yeah,
You know, it was fun because it's enjoyable when you're beating someone up. Obviously not for real, but you do enjoy grabbing someone and throwing them about. But
yeah,
yeah, I took my training quite seriously. And there was at times that people thought I was quite miserable because I was so honed in on what they were doing in the ring.
mm,
And obviously I was watching and listening to what they were saying and, you know, just trying to focus in on the moves that they were teaching as well.
mm,
Um, and then I was trying to perfect it in my head for when I got in there,
yeah,
you know. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it was, you know, a bit complicated, but sometimes it may have taken a few seconds to get. But other
yeah,
times I could pick a few moves up pretty quick because obviously I ain't just got a rugby background, I've got a martial arts background as well. So
yeah,
I kind of, yeah, so it was good. It was a pretty decent transition anyway. So I
yeah,
kind of did get some of the moves because some of the moves that we do in wrestling are based around a bit of jiu-jitsu and karate and stuff like
yeah,
that. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, what sort of style of wrestling, what sort of technique of wrestling would you say best describes Arcadius?
um, well, I think because of the size of Arcadius, he's more of a sort of powerhouse. So
Yeah,
he'll do all the big brawling stuff and then picking people up. And obviously the signature for the Stalling Suplex is probably the biggest signature because Arcadius tries to do it on the biggest people as possible.
mm,
You know, some of them, you know, some guys who can really post make it so much easier as well.
yeah,
You know, I can hold them up there forever. Just that obviously, sometimes when you haven't been training enough and you gas out from it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So you got to pick the right ones that you can pick up and hold there, and then hope that you ain't got to literally hold them there and their weight at the same time. As where the smaller guys, I almost lose them because they go up straight away, and I'm like, oh, come back in, I need you, like, you know.
yeah,
But
yeah, definitely.
but
Yeah, so
one of my favourites was at a Comic Con in Birmingham.
right,
I had a young guy from the House No Wrestling Academy, and I was wrestling him, and I picked him up in the Stalling Suplex, but he didn't point his toes in the air. He kind of had his legs dangling, so I was like, point your toes. So he points his toes, and then for some reason he decided he tapped me on the leg to say you can go down now. So I thought, oh no, we're not doing this now. So I spun around. I spun around and then I finished the move off, like, but he did not expect that at all. But it was a bit of fun. I was tormenting the poor sod.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
well, you know, I was a newbie once,
Yeah,
so obviously I
yeah,
went through it as
yeah,
well. So you know, sometimes it's fun to do it to the others.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I was going to say wrestling's that sort of business where there's always banter for the newbies, right?
Yeah,
And I'm not naming no names in particular, but you know, like there are a few people that both of us have worked with, and may take the banter a bit too far, but you know, like it's all a part of the business. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah, so yeah. I mean,
yeah,
funnily enough,
yeah.
yeah. I
What can I
mean,
say?
yeah, 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 yeah. You go, yeah.
No,
But
sorry, mate. You happy, man? But you go, you
yeah,
go. Yeah,
so yeah. I mean, one of the fellas that I'm on about, obviously not naming no names. I've thankfully managed to get a few refereeing gigs off him. So yeah, can't complain like on that front. But yeah, so but yeah, so yeah, but yeah,
yes,
uh,
yeah. Well, things is you got to have fun as well when you're there and
Yeah.
all that. Because when Arcadius is in the ring, it's a complete different guy. You know, he's a very serious wrestler, but because it's not just the fact that we're about to have a fight, it's more because I care about the safety of everybody I'm in the ring with. You know, there's some people out there that don't really care. I'm not going to name any names, but they're quite spiteful. But you know, at times you just got to. Sometimes, well, to be honest, in the business, you're going to get hurt no matter what. You know, whether it's intentional or not. You know, it's just one of them things. You just got to take it and then talk about it later. There's no point. This term receipts and all that, I really don't believe in receipts and that, but sometimes they've got to be given. I do, you know, grant that sometimes, but other times it's just unnecessary receipts that you don't really need to give, that you can actually just talk to them back about it.
Yeah.
You know, and if they apologise, that's it, it's fine. If not, maybe give them a receipt later on, but as long as they know it's coming. You know?
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm aware that you run a training academy, or are involved in a training academy. Talk us through how you got into actually starting that up, and how it's gone so far.
Oh, the Arcadian Wrestling School. Well, I obviously start with the bare basics, which is your rolls, your basic bumps, and then your basic lockups and headlocks, and then obviously your reversals for them all and stuff like that. And then what you do is you kind of build it all up from there and stuff like that. Like, you know, and I come up with a few decent drills and all that, but also a load of drills that I learnt on the way. You know, obviously from Mighty Jones and all that as well, and another wrestler from NXT, Tucker, his name was. I couldn't forget. Irish guy, lovely guy actually. I learned a nice routine off of that, and I actually used that routine or that drill. I use that for the beginners because there's a lot of reversals in there, and there's different moves in there. There's like your headlocks, your head reversals. You know, you've got an arm drag in it. You know, a takedown where obviously you end up in an arm bar and stuff like that, and then they get up from there. You kind of so you're used to, you know, trying to make it look like it's a fight as well, and you can work with it. In fact, you can actually use the whole drill as a match as well, which is pretty cool. So I kind of built from there and then started picking up and writing other drills down and stuff like that. You know, but I always start with the bare basics and all that, and then obviously for guys who start to get quite advanced with it, I start then intermediate training with, which I've got two guys that I've just made intermediate who debuted for Mighty Show weekend just gone. So and they did quite well actually. It was a Rumble spot. They both got to start the Rumble, and they were supposed to go out around about 5 minutes or so, but they stayed in for nearly 10 minutes. So I had to tell someone to quickly go and eliminate them. You know, little green, you know what I mean? So, but as it is at the moment, I mean, it fluctuates. You know, your students fluctuates up and down and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes you kind of feel like, why am I doing this and that, and then you kind of like, it brings you back to what you know, Aaron Sharp had said once, and I, to be honest, I actually use that quite a lot now. Is the fact it's giving these kids a purpose in life. You know, and I think that's what it should be about, really. It should be about just about making a bit of money and a bit of profit and stuff like that. It should be about, you know, giving these kids a purpose, you know, because the two guys that I made intermediate, you should have seen them when I first met them. I hardly said a word. You know, one of them wore this weird thick leather jacket all the way through the summer, and I said to him, I'm going to guarantee you taking that jacket off before the summer's out. You know what I mean? Or the jumper as well. He'd wear in the heat, like, you know. And I thought, hey, you're not dying. You know what I mean? Like, you know. And eventually, all of a sudden, he had a realisation, and he took the jumper off, and I didn't even notice. So, you know, I didn't even notice at first because I was so used to him wearing it. Yeah. You know, and then the other one, you know, he always had his head down, and you know, he'd say a few words, and now they won't shut up. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Especially when I take them home from point A to point B, like, you know. Exactly. one of them is he doesn't say a word when you need him to, but he doesn't shut up when you don't need him to. Like, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I love it. I love doing it with him. Like, you know, plus teaching the youngsters as well. Because my little girl, she's a training as well as a professional wrestler. So she started doing arm drags the other night, and it was quite cool actually seeing her do it because it's quite fun. You know what I mean? The lads trying to keep up with her, like, you know, so it was good. So but, as I say, the school's up and down, but that's with most places, to be honest. Sometimes, you know, one minute you'll have a really good turnout, and another times you just have nothing for maybe a week or two, just a couple of students, which is fine as long as you're making enough to pay rent and all that, man. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, I do a bit of refereeing for the wrestling business, like here and there, and I've got nowhere near like as much experience as you, Aaron, Marty, etc. And I can safely say that I take a bit of a dislike to some promoters that are literally in it for themselves and are like in it for the money, right? And it's like, can't we all work together? Do you know what I mean? Trying to act like the Billy Big Bullocks of society, saying that their company is better than this company, over the other side, right? And it's like, can't we all just be a bunch of wrestling fans? Can't we all just be like a bunch of marks, as they say? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, why can't other promoters band together and just have a bit of fun with it?
Yeah,
you know, rather than just be against each other. I mean, I'm noticing. I'm not going to name any promotions, but the people that will see this will know who I'm talking about. You know, I've seen other promotions take other promotions venues and stuff like that, which I think is it really selfish. I mean, can't they just share it? Like, you know what I mean? But just because it's, you know, it was a home of that product to start off with, like, you know. But I haven't started any shows yet myself, so and I don't know where to start yet. So if I'm not ready, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I am hoping at some point this year, maybe, or maybe next year, that I'll start shows. But you know, if I'm going to start any shows, it'll be just student shows to start off with, to give my students experience, and other promotion students experience in the ring and stuff like that. You know, just a bit of chance for them to get that experience in front of crowds, and how to work in front of the crowd and all that. And then they can, you know, because you can't teach experience, you can only teach them how to do something, and then the experience comes with the job. You know what I mean? Later on down the line. And so it's just, I just feel sometimes, instead of being against each other, just work together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even with like wrestlers as well, you know, sometimes you don't need to tell people how much money you want and all that. Just help the promoters out sometimes, you know, because it makes it easier, and you get booked a bit more as well, you know. So I'm not in for the profit anymore. I'm too old, you know what I mean? So you know, I ain't gonna make it to WWE at this age. So like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm just enjoying the indies, and, you know, and having fun with it. You know what I mean? So
exactly. I mean, with the podcast and all that, I try and work with like as many wrestlers as possible, right? Because the last thing that I want is for anyone to put my name in the wrestling business calling me a cunt, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? And so I try and work around people, you know, especially with the wrestling promotions that I work for. Do you know what I mean? You know, and like when it comes to certain wrestlers and all that, or certain promoters moaning that their wrestlers are going off to another company, that their trainees are going off to another company, it's like, when it comes to your trainees, surely you should be happy that your trainees are actually getting bookings and are actually getting the name out there. Do you know what I mean? Because what's the point of you sitting there for for the past 6, 12, 18 months, training them for all that time, just for them not to get any bookings? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it depends on what level they've got to as well. So, like, if it's an intermediate level, you can start doing shows. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, but you know, when you get more advanced, then you can just, obviously the world's at your oyster. Then, you know what I mean. But like, it's the same with with training and stuff like that, it's only so much as trainers that we can teach our students. There's nothing wrong with them going to, I'm not sure another school, but maybe like go to as many seminars as possible and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, the odd school here and there just to learn something a little bit different, and you don't have to come back and show it to us, just obviously there's a certain way that certain people train their students, and there's a certain way I train my students, and I want them to do it the way I want in my school, but they'll do it the way they want in their school.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and Marty, I've learnt quite a bit from Marty as well. I've learnt loads from Al Snow and, from Aswell, basically altogether, Aswell, Al Snow Wrestling Academy, Surrey is probably one of my most favourite schools of all time. It's not because they're my mates and stuff like that. It's just because we got the chance to do the stuff that we really wanted to do. Sometimes it may have taken a bit longer, sometimes that's how it is, but they never had a problem with us going to do seminars and that, or now and then going off somewhere else to the other side of the world for a training session or something like that. They didn't mind all that, as long as we know where we started and we come back to where we were. But again, like training's different to wherever you go, and sometimes it's nice just to have something a little different. That's it, But I just there's a lot of argument about how that should be, to be honest. But I don't really mind it myself. I'll only teach them so much I can teach. And I haven't been in the business as long as like Aaron Sharp or Terry and Al Snow and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I've learned an awful lot, but I'm trying to piece my own stuff together as well, especially like when I can't sleep at night and I've got moves just constantly going through my head, and I end up getting up at like 2 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock that same morning. I'm on my computer typing everything down. And one of my students actually pointed out a few spelling mistakes, you know what I mean? The one that I want to be quiet. You know what I mean? So now I've got to come back home and then retype the whole thing and then reprint it all again,
Yeah, really.
Hey, I mean, I think, I think it'd be selfish not to let these guys out there to go and play and get some experience and stuff like that. But like I said, it depends on what level they are as well. If they've only just started out and they've only been training 3-4 months, well, maybe they can start maybe camps or something like that. But I wouldn't as far as a main hall show. I'll get in a little bit. But some people they do think you can train for about 3 months, 2 months sometimes, and then you can go out there and start working, which really is quite dangerous, in my eyes.
Exactly.
I don't know if everybody else would agree.
Exactly. So, but anyways, apart from all that, so I'm aware that you have a couple of big matches coming up in, I believe, EWW and LWP. Has the EWW match already been and gone?
No, the EWE is called. Elite Wrestling Entertainment. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet. Unfortunately, because of an issue that they cancelled the show. Yeah. But I think it's on the 1st of May. No. Yeah, 1st of May. I had to check with the wife then. 1st of May, Monday, 1st of May. I think it's a bank holiday actually. So, it'll be happening then. Yeah. Which is, it's going to be quite a brutal match as well, because it's against quite a big guy. He's doing quite well in the business actually. I'm not going to name him because, I don't like him. Oh, you know what I mean? Keeping kayfabe type thing, if you know what I mean.
No comment.
It's going to be quite a harsh match, So being my 3rd championship now, that's going to be with pretty much with no disqualification. So it's a no hold bar match, and obviously LWP. I'm against Little Bradley. I call him Little Bradley because he's little, and obviously I know it'll annoy him now that I'm saying it. So but I think Bradley's expecting to have a good fight, but unfortunately, I don't think he's going to enjoy this one. It's going to be quite brutal for him. So, and I'll be waiting and enjoying, wiping the floor with him a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, speaking of the match with, as you call him, Little Bradley of Brad O'Brien on the 13th of May at the Suncastle in Skeggy. Funnily enough, it's actually for that's on your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Will Mr. Bradley be anywhere near a big enough challenge for the Arcadian woman?
Yeah.
No chance.
Well, the wife said it, no chance. But to be honest, you never know what happens in the ring. It depends on what type of road he wants to go down. But to be honest, I mean, the last time I saw him, he wasn't as big as what he looks like now. I mean, he's got a little bit bigger, even though he's still little.
Yeah.
But yeah, even though, because actually I was in the first, it was at King of the Castle. I was in the first one of them, and I was in the final match against C.W. Davis.
Can I point out that you lost that?
Yeah, that's the one I lost. Yeah, that's the one that I got hit with a walking stick, and the walking stick disappeared. Yep. So obviously someone took it and hid it under their chair. I ain't going to name any names, but I thought, damn man, I want to get him back with that. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But and fighting the same guy for the championship as well, was quite a brutal match for me.
Last man standing, wasn't it?
Yeah, last man standing match. Going through a table, breaking my elbow, getting a wet floor sign smashed over my head. Never had that one before, and I never had a kendo stick across my back. But again, that kendo stick disappeared. But obviously, I got back with the chairs and took him out in the end. But that was quite a hard match, that one. I enjoyed it still, though. I mean, I don't think the wife appreciated it, though, because I got told off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember watching that match from the backstage position, and the highlight of the bits that I saw was you actually getting put through the table.
Yeah.
Right? You looked in pain from that, to be fair. So, yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was a pace table at first. So, if you know, when I turned to look where I was going, I noticed it was a pace table, and I kind of changed my mind almost, and I tried to land on my feet first to go through the table that way, but it kind of hit my feet and the table at the same time. But I really hit the elbow, and my elbow actually blew out like say about the size of a football almost.
Bloody heck!
In the pictures, because obviously I had it hidden. But and to be honest, I was hurting for a good couple of weeks. Well, not couple of weeks, about a week after. I mean, everything hurt from top to bottom. Even my toes were aching. But hey, it's wrestling. It's what we do, and and I don't think I'll change it. I wouldn't even change it for the world. I enjoy doing it, and but like I say, for Bradley's got no chance. But if he wants to try and, to be honest, you've got to work hard to even give me a bit of a competition. And
exactly.
If he does, out to him, but I don't think he will. You know what I mean? And that's just the confidence in me, because obviously I'm the beast, I'm the champion for a reason. And I work hard to get what I get. For some guy who calls himself the king of couture. You know what I mean?
So, how long could we see you actually holding the LWP World Title for then?
Oh, mate. Do you know what? Sometimes you just ain't got the answer for questions like that. But I'm hoping for a long time. It depends. I mean, you never know what happens in that ring. Anything. It's 3 seconds to put you out, or to lose the belt, or it's a submission or a tap out. But it's just you never know what happens in that ring, and you never know what type of the opponent is, because at the end of the day, it depends on the guy on that night. Who wants it more, and you know, if you keep fighting and keep fighting, then the longer you keep the championship. But if you just, you know, sometimes, you know, it just goes the other way. You know what I mean? But it won't be the end of it. If I lose it, I'll still get it back.
Yeah.
You know, I'll hunt it and I'll keep going until I get it back. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what happens around the corner. Sometimes it just happens. You know, you can lose at any time. You know, it is what it is. You just have to accept it, and then, you know, not go back to the drawing board, but move forward and then go back on the hunt.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's better to be on the hunt more than it is to actually retain it, because you've got such a big target on your back. Everybody wants it. You know what I mean? And you know, I think the wrestlers, I say male wrestlers are more divas than female wrestlers in the business. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is my baby, and you know, I ain't gonna let it go easily. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So yeah. Do you have any closing statements for today's podcast? Is there anything else that you'd like to add on before we call it a day?
I say for anybody that wants to you know, to enroll in wrestling, you know, whether it's in Skegness, definitely go to LWP.
Yep.
Or wherever you are. You know, if you want to do something like this, then work hard, then train and you know, and enjoy it. You know, and for those who are in training as well, you know, keep going. You know, because you never know what's around the corner. Because you know, you never know how big you're going to make it. You know, just keep pushing yourselves, and that goes for everybody out there who's training and all that. And then I'm going to leave this for little Bradley, you know, as I call him, is that you know, bring your A game, because you're going to need it. That's it. You know, I mean, other than that, if you don't bring your A game, the wall beast is just going to tear you up, and that's it.
So, one more thing, actually, right? Your match against Mr. O'Brien on the 13th of May at the Sun Castle in Skegness. Do you want that as a normal wrestling match, or do you want that under hardcore stipulations?
Oh.
Bearing in mind you won the title under last man standing stipulations. Yeah. Do you reckon that you can do it?
It'd be nice to have a normal match for once, but to be honest, I don't care, because either way, the results are going to be the same. You know what I mean? So let's just hope it doesn't end up being that, because obviously that means, you know, Bradley's got more of a chance than but you know, but to be honest, like I say, if it's a hardcore match or table match, strap match, you know, I couldn't care less. Either way, the results are going to be the same.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, I'll be looking forward to going back to Skegness, to LWP, because I love the fans there. I mean, from the get go, they've welcomed me with open arms. You know, and I've enjoyed it. You know, and also, you know, if you want to leave one last message for everybody who's training as well, stay humble. You know, the more you're humble, the more enjoyment you get out of it. You know, just whether you become a champion later on in your career, or you know, whether you lose it, just be humble about it, because the more you're humble, the more you get. You know, and that's it. So I try and live by it all the time. But you know, not everybody does.
Yeah, definitely. So, Mr. Arcadius, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you very much for joining us here today. So then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people on the Nerdic Pro podcast, my name has, as per usual, been Bobby Effin Salastar, and with me on the line has been the Lion Wrestling Promotions LWP World Heavyweight Champion, the Arcadian War Beast, Arcadius. So, holding the title in his glory. So, if I don't see you before, I shall see you on, is it the 13th of May?
Yeah, 13th of May at the Sun Castle, Maybe you should referee it.
Yes, definitely. Fingers crossed.
have a word with Aaron Sharp, but maybe you could referee it. But then again, you might get accused of being biased.
No comment, no comment. Yeah, like, I'll try and get Brad on at some point, and then see what he says. So I don't have the biased, opinion. So yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
get the King of the Draw, and I want to see what he has to say as well, because
yeah.
he's a lovely chap sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, anyways, cheers a lot for coming on. And again, if we don't see you before, I'll see you in Skeg. So yeah,
I'll see you in
thank you.
Yeah, you take care. Right.
Yeah, you too. See you later. Goodbye.